The cost of living in this country is currently, it's not going to be, it is currently unsustainable.
Why is no one talking about how serious the cost of living actually is?
This is why I feel like the cost of living has never been as bad as it is right now. Because it used to be when the cost of living was high, it was for the things that you need in life.
99, I'm gonna say 99, not even 95. 99% of us are suffering.
People are broke, and now there's proof showing up in the numbers.
I am so tired of feeling helpless as a parent.
Don't get me wrong, I love being single and I love living alone. It's great, it's fantastic, but fuck, it's expensive.
Because of this economy. So, are we great again, America? Like, is this what you voted for?
In today's America, surviving feels like a luxury. Prices are rising faster than paychecks, groceries, rent, healthcare, even electricity. Everything costs more than ever before. Millions of Americans are cutting back, working multiple jobs, or falling behind just to make ends meet. The cost of living isn't just going up, it's crushing the middle class. So what happened? Why is life in the richest country on earth becoming unaffordable for so many? Let's break down the truth behind America's cost of living crisis and see how ordinary people are paying the price.
I got a letter recently that my property taxes are going to go up $600 a year from now on. I got a letter that my homeowner's insurance is going up $60 a month. My propane company sent me a letter that my propane is going to double this year. They just came and filled up my tank. It was $1,000. That's crazy. Also, as a entrepreneur and business owner, I get my health insurance through the marketplace. So you have the Affordable Care Act. I pay $45 a month. They just informed me that if this bill passes and I lose my tax credit, I'm going to go from $45 a month to $660 a month for health insurance. I need to buy a new car and I can't, because the cars have gotten more expensive and the interest rates have gotten so much more expensive. I can't find a reliable car that has the same monthly payment of $450 a month that I've been paying now for a new car. Not necessarily new, but new to me. Groceries are insane, and it feels like every day I get a new email from another subscription that I have, whether it's Netflix, my website subscription, everything's increasing in price. And I sit pretty much every day stressed about money, and yet I know that there are so many people in this country that are way worse off than me, and they're not making it, y'all. They're not making it. What hurts me the most is that there are so many women, especially, that just cannot afford to leave abusive homes, and they have to stay in it because of this economy. So, are we great again, America? Like, is this what you voted for? Meanwhile, they all sit there in DC, not feeling any of these pressures, not doing anything about it, not giving a shit about the American people. I have been extremely poor, and I have been extremely wealthy, and I know from firsthand experience that the wealthy people don't notice it. And most people are pretty self-absorbed and aren't thinking about other people anyway. So we got to talk about this more. We got to raise hell. We have to let DC know that this is not acceptable. Regardless of your party, we have got to help each other.
Why is no one talking about how serious the cost of living actually is? So we pay like a really cheap amount of rent compared to like all the other rent I see, and we're a family of 6. We pay $9.50 rent. Why is no one talking about how serious the cost of living actually is? So we pay like a really cheap amount of rent compared to like all the other rent I see, and we're a family of 6. We pay $9.50 rent. That's cheap. We're in Missouri. It's like not some nice new place or anything. It was actually built in 1890. My husband is working 3 jobs right now. We buy absolutely nothing that we don't need. And we actually go without a lot of things that we actually do need. I feel like if you're able to do anything that's not just surviving, then you got it good. I feel so sad that I didn't appreciate the times where we were able to actually have fun at this point. So much has changed in the past few years. Like, what? I just really want to know. How is everyone surviving? Is everyone working like 24/7? Because that's what my husband does, and I'm just home with my little kids all the time. It's kind of like depressing that we're never together as a family, so I don't know. I hope one day we can be, but it sucks.
This is why I feel like the cost of living has never been as bad as it is right now. Because it used to be when the cost of living was high, it was for the things that you need in life. Food, gas, shelter, etc. All those things cost a lot of money. Right now, all of those things still cost a lot of money. And also, I feel like it's just expensive to just be alive. Like, I feel like my life as soon as I wake up is literally just me putting down a credit card, and it's just a tab. And life is a bartender. And it's just like, what are you going to have? And I'm just like, I'm okay. I don't really need anything today. And it's just like, oh, really? Well, if you're going to be here, you're going to need to spend money. And I'm just like, what do you mean here? I'm just in the world. And it's just like, yeah, you have to buy something now. It's even getting to the point where, like, I feel like even my thoughts are getting expensive, you know? Like I could just have the thought of like, my nose is a little stuffy. And then all of a sudden, I open up my phone 10 minutes later and have 12 ads for like, oh, you have a pollen allergy and you got to buy these anti-pollen allergy pills or you're going to suffocate in your sleep. Sleep is the only place I still feel kind of safe. But even there, it's like I could have sleep problems for one night and then I wake up feeling kind of groggy and all of a sudden I'm getting targeted ads for melatonin gummies. It's like all of our necessities are still expensive, and then also just every increment of our life costs something.
Wages haven't kept up with inflation. While corporate profits hit record highs, ordinary workers are struggling to survive on paychecks that buy less every year. The price of food, housing, and basic essentials has skyrocketed, but most salaries have barely moved. Rent alone has become a nightmare. In many cities, the average apartment now costs more than half of a worker's monthly income. Owning a home, once a symbol of the American dream, is now out of reach for millions of families. Groceries that used to cost $100 now take $150 or more. Gas prices, utility bills, and insurance costs continue to climb, leaving no room to save. Every part of daily life feels more expensive, and every dollar feels smaller. People are forced to make impossible choices: pay the rent or buy groceries, fill a prescription, or fill the gas tank. This is the reality for millions of Americans today, working harder than ever, yet falling further behind.
Don't get me wrong, I love being single and I love living alone. It's great, it's fantastic, but fuck, it's expensive. Ah! I just spent $600 on brakes on my car, just on the front part of the car, because I couldn't afford all 4 brakes and axles and rotors and whatever the fuck. And then now I just paid my car payment, which is $500, so I just blew $1,100 in like 3 hours, and it wasn't even like fun, you know? Fuck. Sorry, it's just so overwhelming. Like, you work and 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 you work, and it's just to pay off like your basic necessities. And you can't, like, in this city that I live in, public transport, please. If I were to do public transport, it's like asking to get raped, and I really shouldn't be crying because now I have to go to another work event, and now I'm gonna be all puffy. I'm just... Living is so expensive. Just keeping yourself alive and floating is so expensive. And what I was saying before I was rudely interrupted is if I were to take public transport here, especially for my job requires a car. I have to have a bunch of shit that I have to lug with me for work. And I can't do that with public transport. I'm venting. Inflation sucks. Just living in America sucks. Living alone sucks. It's great, but it sucks. Because you have to front all the expenses by yourself. I need a husband just so that I can live. So we can split the bills.
People are broke, and now there's proof showing up in the numbers. Kellogg's reported an 8.6% drop in cereal sales. Crocs pulled its entire financial forecast. Heineken says people are drinking less. And even global giants like Nestle are seeing sales fall across the board. And what's scary about this, it's not about cutting luxuries. People are walking away from everyday items. Candy, snacks, fast food, takeout. Last Saturday, I went for lunch at a popular restaurant. Usually packed at noon, we expected a wait. Instead, we were just a handful of people there. Because consumers are cutting back hardest on items that bring joy. Chips, chocolate, going out to dinner. Not because they want to, because simply they don't have the fucking money. And companies know it. Forecasts are being pulled. Behind the scenes, they see the truth. Demand just isn't slowing, it's fucking collapsing. After 5 brutal years, Americans are barely hanging on, and now the administration slaps tariffs on top of it. It's like throwing gasoline on an already burning house. These families are one missed paycheck away from financial collapse. Americans aren't tightening belts anymore. They've run out of fucking notches.
I am so tired of feeling helpless as a parent. Yes, my kids are grown adults. My oldest is 28, my youngest is 25. And I thought by teaching them what I learned, which is you work hard, you get a good job, you're going to get the things in life that you need, right? Worked for me, why wouldn't it work for them? Because it doesn't. Because the world has fucking changed, all right? And now I feel like I see them struggling. And before my generation comes at me, yes, I understand struggling is a part of life. We all struggled. But there's a difference between struggling and drowning, all right? So we struggled and it was tough. But you know what? We made it. We knew there was a light at the end of the tunnel with our struggle. It seems like kids today, no matter how much they struggle, they just get further and further down the water into the drowning point, all right? When I was their age, I was making less than $10 an hour. And I could afford to live on my own. Now you have to be making 6-figure salary to get a decent, tiny little place to live. So what the fuck is going on and how do we help them as parents? I told my son, all you have to do is work hard, go to college or join the military like I did. He went to college, got his degree, got a full-time job. He moved back in with me right when he graduated from college because he said, hey, Mom, as soon as I get a job, which was within 2 weeks of him getting out of college, maybe take me 2 months and I'll save up enough money for me to move out. Okay, cool. It's been 10 months. He has saved almost every dime and still can't afford to live. Why are 1-bedroom studio apartments almost $2,000 a month? Why? Like, I just don't get it. So I don't even think that there's even classes anymore. There used to be, upper class, middle class, lower class. It's literally turning into the ultra wealthy and then everybody else is just poor. Like, that's what is happening. And then I told him, hey, when you turn 25, at least your car insurance will go down. Hell no, he turned 25 and his car insurance went up $150. I tell him, if you need health insurance, get a good job. He has health insurance. He has had a medical emergency this week. Had to go to emergency room twice. He had to go to the emergency room because he couldn't get anybody to see him with the health insurance that he had. Right? So he had to go to an emergency room. Now he's out money for that too. It seems like you can never get ahead. And then my daughter, I told her all you have to do because she wanted to buy her own house. My daughter worked 6 days a week, 12 hours a day to save up enough for this down payment. Finally got this house. She's paying double what I'm paying for my mortgage, but her loan was the same amount. And then her mortgage company, after she's already moved in, said, oh, by the way, we forgot to tell you that you need this type of coverage, which we forgot in the beginning. That's an extra $200 you've been paying a month. And all they see when they come home is they watch social media, kids their age, on lavish vacations with all this money and nothing to do, all these social media influencers, because we value those types of things over hard workers. We will pay them $10,000, but you'll work 40 hours a week, you can't afford it.
That's crazy. Lettuce is $20.
I couldn't believe it. I thought maybe it was
mismarked
weird.
Is the lettuce made of gold now? What are they doing to this lettuce? $20? You gotta be joking me.
So I want to continue this conversation about how 99, I'm going to say 99, not even 95, 99% of us living in the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area are suffering. And I want to continue this conversation in hopes that I will not only get more answers as to why other people think this is happening, but I will find all the other New Jerseyans and New Yorkers that are suffering in this with me. I feel like the American dream that they sold you is dead. At this point, I feel like it's a big fat lie. Because technically, I did everything I was supposed to do. And my husband, he really did what he was supposed to do. This man suffers from Crohn's disease. And through the worst flare-up of his entire life, where he weighed the same weight as me, he went to school full-time and worked a job full-time. So he literally would work overnight shifts, get off at 7 in the morning, and then go to school at like 12 in the afternoon. And we're not just talking just like regular business school or whatever. We're talking engineering. He chose engineering because it's a great lucrative career, right? Well, he bust his aspirin, went to school, literally got the sickest he's ever been in his life, literally failed the class because he was so sick. We had a baby, went through COVID. I mean, such hard times in our lives. He pushed forward and graduated. And guess what? He makes no more money than he was making before. Can't even find a job that would pay him $150K. And $150K might sound like a lot to some, but that is literally nothing for here. You need at least $200K in the household to survive. And I want to focus on my fashion business. So not only can we not afford a home, we can barely afford rent. Something's got to give.
Behind this crisis lies a system built to benefit the few at the top. Corporations raise prices far beyond their costs, blaming inflation while quietly increasing their profit margins. Essential goods, food, housing, medicine, are no longer just needs, they're business opportunities for profit. Grocery giants, oil companies, and real estate investors have all made record earnings, while consumers struggle to survive. Meanwhile, policymakers argue about interest rates and statistics, ignoring the reality on the ground. Higher interest rates were meant to control inflation, but instead they've made mortgages, credit cards, and loans even more expensive. Families are drowning in debt, while corporations get bailouts, tax breaks, and record stock buybacks. The system rewards speculation, not hard work. It protects wealth, not workers. And the result is clear: an economy that looks strong on paper, but feels broken for millions living paycheck to paycheck.
I'm an American. I live in the United States, which is supposed to be the greatest country on earth. I live in the back half of a garage. It's $1,600 a month and only 200 square feet. That's more than half my income. I'm an American. The United States has the world's largest economy. That being said, it still has thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of its citizens living on the streets, hungry and poor and without medical care. The last time I went to the emergency room, it cost me $12,000. I'm an American. A college education isn't free here, and mine cost $120,000. It took me 10 years to pay that off. I'm an American. You're not going to get a good paying career anymore. A college education no longer amounts for anything. You're going to get a minimum wage job to start off, no matter what degree you have, and you're going to be paying off your interest and your loans for the rest of your life. Our corporate CEOs are millionaires and billionaires, and yet they refuse to pay their employees a livable wage because they know we'll work it anyway. I'm an American. Despite being the land of opportunities, we're the #1 country for mass shootings. I'm an American. I couldn't afford a child, and who would want to have one here anyway? School shootings happen all the time, and nobody seems to care. I will never be able to afford my own house. I'm an American. I've never been out of this country. I've never been on vacation. Our tax dollars secretly fund wars that we don't agree to. If you leave this country, you still have to pay taxes to the USA. I'm an American, and I fear I'm just the average American.
Can we talk about the cost of living in Arizona? She wanted to say hi. Because, listen, when I first rented my own apartment and moved out, it was in 2016, so about 10 years ago. Really, when I'm about to tell you the price difference in that apartment versus what I'm paying now, 10 years is not enough for it to be this much. So that apartment was $800 a month. It was a luxury apartment complex. We had a lot of amenities. My apartment itself was amazing. $800. And I remember in 2016, I thought, like, this is so much money. Like, in my head, $800 was so much, because that's not including my APS bill and my Wi-Fi and all that. I'm pretty sure I had a gas stove too, so I had SRP too. But total, it would be like $950 a month for everything. In 2019, I moved again, and it was so hard finding an apartment. It was impossible to find an apartment for like under $1,000. It just didn't exist anymore. So from 2016 to end of 2019, everything was over $1,000. I ended up moving in somewhere where my rent was $1,550, and I lived there for a couple years. So it went from basically, and this is like average rent in the zip code that I was in, okay? This was not that expensive of an apartment. So from 2016 to 2019, that is a $700 increase, and that was the average. I move again in 2021. My rent was $1,750. Stayed there. Next year it went up. My rent was $1,900. Stayed there again another year, and my rent was $2,400. So we go from $800 to $2,400 in a matter of 8 years. That is insane. Not including the APS, not including the Wi-Fi, any other utilities, water, like that's just the base rent. I moved to North Scottsdale to be closer to work in February of 2024. My base rent here is $1,700, okay? And this apartment complex is old. Like, my dryer doesn't work. My dishwasher has been fixed 3 times. The lights go out here all the time. And renewed again this last year, and I now pay $2,000. It's like $1,990 to live in an old apartment complex where nothing works. Thank God there's no bug issues, but I have seen like other neighbors have issues with roaches and stuff like that. Thank God it's not my apartment. However, for this apartment, $2,000. And I don't even live in like the peak heart of North Scottsdale. I live in, like I said, I have popcorn ceilings if you can see them. My point is, I don't know like when this stops, but I am so over it. Like, I just can't get over $800 to $2,000. That is more than double of an increase. And like I said, my first apartment was completely luxury. Like, everything was upgraded except for my stove, because I had a gas stove, but everything was upgraded and new, and it was in a nice area of town. That's insane, right? Like, am I crazy? I need to know if I am the only one that's mad the prices of living here. I've lived in Arizona my whole life, and it's just so sad, and lived on my own for, God, almost 10 years. So it's so crazy, because I'm like, in another 10 years, I'm going to be living on my own for 20 years. Am I going to be paying $4,000, $5,000 for a shitty apartment? I just need to know I'm not alone and being overreactive. So I just feel like this sucks. Please stop moving to Arizona. Please stop moving. And another thing is they keep building apartments. So many apartment complexes. And Arizona is already hot. But in Phoenix, it's extra hot because there's so much concrete. And the sun is hitting the concrete all day. That's why our monsoons aren't happening as much as they used to. There's too much infrastructure in Arizona. And they just keep building and building and building. And prices keep going up. And it keeps getting hotter. You don't want to live here. If you're thinking about moving here, don't do it. People that live here already are struggling enough. I hate it here.
People outside California really don't understand how expensive it is to live here. And before you guys say, oh, I want to move then, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't want to move too. It's a lot easier said than done, because moving from state to state is very hard, finding jobs, all that other stuff. But recently I was having a conversation with some of my friends, right? We're in GC and we're talking, some of them live out of state. One of them lives in a very, very cheap state. Where he's like, oh, he thinks he really has it like that, when he really doesn't. Because in his state, basically it's like a 40% the cost of California. So he was able to buy himself a condo. He's like, oh, I have a Tesla. Where in California, having Tesla is like having a Honda Civic. It doesn't mean anything. And he's trying to give one of my friends advice. He's like, oh yeah, now that you're getting married, try to put some money towards investments. And he's like, this house that we're trying to buy is our investment. He's like, yeah, but invest in other things. Like, bro, investing when you live in a cheap state is not the same when trying to invest in California. Trying to live every day is the investment. Trying to get by is the investment. It's not the same, because your cost of living for housing is up, your groceries is up, your gas could be almost double what some other states are. We do not have the same abilities to be able to try to divest into other things as other states do. Unless you are making close to $250,000 a year, you probably cannot live in a lifestyle where you're able to get ahead in life.
So I moved from California to Florida last year. And in Florida, your car registration is due the month of your birthday. So I just got my car registration in the mail, expecting to cringe as I opened it. For backstory, in California, I was paying like $700 and something a year for my car registration. In Florida, my registration is $47.05 for 1 year for the same price of vehicle. I do have a different vehicle now, but it is the same price of vehicle that I had in California. So, love you, Southern California, but this is why we left.
Across the country, everyday life has turned into a constant struggle to stay afloat. Families are downsizing, skipping meals, and cutting out essentials just to survive another month. Parents work extra shifts or take second jobs, but even then, it's often not enough. Many young adults are delaying marriage, children, or home ownership because the numbers simply don't add up. For the first time in generations, people are questioning whether hard work still leads to a better life. Housing has become one of the biggest burdens. Renters face constant price hikes, eviction threats, and competition for even the smallest apartments. Homebuyers are locked out of the market as mortgage rates soar and investors snatch up properties for profit. Entire neighborhoods are changing, not because of progress, but because ordinary people can no longer afford to stay. Groceries tell the same story. Shoppers now compare prices item by item, switching to cheaper brands or skipping fresh produce altogether. Families are stretching every dollar, cutting coupons, or visiting food banks for the first time in their lives. And while they struggle, corporations report record-breaking quarterly profits. This isn't just an economic problem, it's a human one. The stress, the fear, the uncertainty, it's wearing people down. Millions are living one emergency away from disaster. The American dream is being replaced by American survival. People are angry and they have every reason to be. For years, they were told to work hard, save money, and everything would be fine. But now, that promise feels like a lie. No matter how hard they try, it's never enough. The system keeps taking more and giving back less. While the rich get richer, ordinary Americans are being crushed by bills, rent, and debt. They're watching their paychecks disappear before the month even ends. They're watching corporations brag about profits while their grocery carts shrink. They're watching politicians argue while nothing changes. This isn't just a crisis, it's a betrayal. A betrayal of the people who built this country, who believed in fairness, who believed that effort meant progress. Now those same people are standing in food lines, living in their cars, or working until they collapse, just to survive. The cost of living crisis isn't accidental, it's the result of decades of greed, broken policies, and a system that values money over people. And until something changes, millions will keep falling through the cracks, forgotten, overworked, and underpaid in the richest nation on earth.